everybody, or I hate to say good morning because so many people are not in mourning. That's that thinking of my own perspective. But hello, everyone. As some of you know, the last few days have been quite interesting for me. They've been interesting in the way that has allowed me to challenge myself in understanding or standing by my belief that outrage is reactive and strategy is proactive. And without a strategic plan, all the outrage in the world usually does nothing and goes off into chaos and all these other things, so nothing gets accomplished. So I'm going to talk about some general things, and then I'm going to talk about some specific things. And I'm going to speak for myself, but this is a generalized statement. What I and many in the developer community are experiencing, many people in tech are experiencing, who are in underrepresented and marginalized groups, particularly people of color, is that our concerns, our thoughts, our words, our requests, our existence, our very existence, is so easily dismissed by people of privilege. And again, I want to define privilege not just about race and gender. It's because it's so many other things. When I talk about privilege, I talk about privilege equals access. So it's the people with the access to communities, organizations, and events, people with access to opportunities, to networks, to things that other people have no way of tapping into without the introduction to opportunities being made for us by privilege. I mean, people don't want to believe this. They think, that whole pull yourself up by the bootstraps shit. But you can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps, as Martin Luther King says, if you don't have boots to pull. And this is the situation that many underrepresented and marginalized individuals are facing in the world in general. But I don't talk about politics, morals, or you should do it for altruistic reasons because it's the right thing to do. I talk about it from a business and a business and economic standpoint, and definitely from a strategic standpoint. And I've just really been thinking about how to get privilege to understand that dismissing us is to dismiss us, you do it at your peril. Without sounding defensive, without sounding like I'm taking it personally, because I have those moments where I do get defensive and I do take this shit personally because I'm a human. But when I come after my hiatus and coming back, I really am intentional about framing these things in strategic fashion, because underrepresented and particularly emphasized marginalized individuals need these conversations to go on, whether you're comfortable with them or not, whether you're in your feelings or not. They cannot stop. And that's the thing I was trying to figure out. How do I continue the conversations and still be at peace with myself? Because if we we do something and we don't say anything else about it, it kind of goes away. And we see that in the political space all the time. In the this is the right thing to do. No one's talking about take a knee right now because the football season is over. And I don't want my message to be that thing. I don't want hashtag causeascene to be that thing that I kick up a fuss, I kick up dirt and throw dust around, but then I have no plan, and then it goes away, and then I kick up dirt at the next thing, and it's all these little things. So then that privilege can then justify dismissing me, and so that's no longer going to happen. So I want to address two different things today. One is 2 months ago, I created a video directed at the PyCon organization team, conference organizers, because they, for whatever reasons, their conference this year is going to be Mother's Day is in the middle of that conference. And I brought that up because people from that community, knowing the work that I do, started asking me questions about how I felt about it. And I thought it was necessary to have that conversation. And this is where I talk about the kick up steam, or kick up the dust, because it was a very lively conversations. People were weighing in about, yes, I don't understand this. This hurts women. This blah, blah, blah. Then organizers said they were going to create a blog post. And 2 months later, and their conference is in a month, there is no blog post. And no one's talking about this anymore. But it doesn't go away. You're still having your conference over Mother's Day weekend. You still haven't explained to the people who were concerned about it, speakers, attendees, or whatever, just an explanation. No, I mean, it was just provide an explanation of why this decision was made. It's already been made. It can't be changed, but to have a dialogue about it helps you make decisions about future events and helps other communities understand what these decisions mean and how they impact underrepresented and marginalized individuals. And again, these are the individuals you continue to say that you want because you lack, but I don't see, again, the privilege is in the way because this is not about you. So then I got attacked by this one individual who's a friend of an organizer who just went off on me and is doing all these things, trying to incite me to engage with her, because I don't know whether the organizer, well, I'm sure the organizer was upset, but this person thought it was a personal attack for me. And no one from that team, the friend of that person on that organizer team, should have said to this person publicly, this is not appropriate. That didn't happen. That was a problem for me, because all I did was ask a question, and the community did not feel that they could ask, and there was quite a lot of engagement around. And so, and you in your response recognized that it was an issue, and you were going to create a blog post to explain that, again, does not exist, or I haven't seen it. And no one thought to shut down this individual who came to attack me. It's not about me, but what it does to me is show your lack of intention to follow through on what you consider being inclusive for underrepresented and marginalized individuals in creating welcoming and safe spaces in tech. Had I taken that personally, that wasn't a safe space for me. That's one thing. So PyCon organizers, this is specifically to you, because I want to look specifically at the camera so no one can misunderstand. Every week until your conference, period, I will be asking for this blog post. And every week that I don't get it, I will create a video to say, I've requested the blog post, because I didn't say it could have been a blog post. You suggested a blog post. It could have been a simple tweet. But I'm now requiring, for me, a blog post that not only explains, because this is the strategic part, why that decision was made to have that conference on the Mother's Day years ago, doesn't matter, and why it took you so long to to re-engage with the community, or re-engage with me with the blog post that you promised. And I don't want to see, oh, we've been busy, we have a conference we're planning a conference. Because then that communicates to me that, again, inclusion and diversity are not a priority for you. And when you realize that there's an issue that upsets a huge part of your community, it's not enough for somebody to take a few hours at the most to create a post that explains what has happened. In these 2 months, you could have created a documented, a research paper on this, because it's been 2 months. That's one thing. The second issue I want to talk about is Stack Overflow. And this is specifically to Stack Overflow leadership. The conversations I was having this weekend were beyond, I don't even know the word for it. They're just beyond. For you to continue to say and justify the demographic of your community based on your own surveys, and those individuals that you say you want in your community, underrepresented and marginalized individuals who are, let's say, customers, because they would be customers. And these customers are telling you that they do not feel safe in your space, and you continue to justify the things that you're doing, is totally unacceptable. It's just totally unacceptable. Stack Overflow there are other options, but as we know, Stack Overflow is the number for is the number one option when people are Googling answers to problems. When people are looking for ways to solve software solutions, software problems, Stack Overflow is number one. We know that. So let's not pretend that there's somewhere else that people need to go. And that includes newbies. Because how are newbies going to get beyond being a newbie if they don't engage in the community? I find a lot of problems with this, because I've heard a lot of things. So now I heard there are actually employers who don't care really about your portfolios, how you feel about coding, your philosophy. They immediately ask to see your GitHub and your Stack Overflow score. Well, this is a disadvantage to those underrepresented and marginalized people who don't feel safe on the site, because they won't have much, if any, of a Stack Overflow score, because they don't feel safe enough to engage. So it becomes privileged individuals who spend their time taking advantage of the gamification that's on the site, that they have that advantage of getting those jobs, even though it concerns me that employers are looking for that and as ways of hiring individuals, because then that tells me something about their culture. But even with that is exclusionary. That means there's a whole sect of people who cannot get employed because your community is not welcoming to them, so they can't take advantage of that opportunity. I have a problem with you saying that Stack Overflow is not for newbies. If Stack Overflow is not for newbies, then you need to make a closed platform that you need to sign into, register for, read and agree to terms, which explains how to craft a question. And if that doesn't exist, then don't tell me this is for newbies. It's on the internet. It's usually the first, if it's in the top 3, if not the first option, always, when someone Googles an error message or whatever. So stop saying it's not for newbies. You need to make it for newbies. Again, this is a business, right? Because you're making money. If your customers tell you that you're not providing the service you need, how long would you be in business? And it's only because this is the culture that you are still existing the way you're existing. This is the only reason. And people from underrepresented and marginalized communities don't have the privilege that the 92% of the white men who are on this site have. Because any other company would be out of business. Also, I consider this a liability issue, and I don't understand why you have not thought about it. If you have, you haven't thought thoroughly about it. When a customer says that being on this site has caused me emotional damage, has affected my psychological safety, all they need to do is go to a therapist, psychiatrist who can document that, and then they have a lawsuit. Now, how you deal with that it's something I don't it's something I don't understand. I don't understand how you don't see when your customers, but then again, you're focusing on the 92%. But you say you want these other individuals. You have an open community, and an open community, you are responsible for the populace, the global community that comes there. You're responsible for how they engage, what they experience on that site. And you can't, I'm not saying you can deal with everything, but there's some intentional things that are going on that site that you are responsible for, that have been going on for years, that are baked into the culture, and you continue to put it off. Also, I don't want to hear anymore from your staff about how we really work hard, really believe in these issues. This isn't about you. You're a part of the privileged system. So this isn't about you. This is about the thousands upon thousands of underrepresented and marginalized individuals who you say you want on your site, yet there are huge exclusionary practices and tactics that not only at worst are unwelcoming, I mean at best they're unwelcoming, but at worst cause psychological harm to people. Yeah, so with the strategy that I came up for that is, so one of the things that I want to do, since you seem to be oblivious to the harm that this site is doing to people, I am asking people to use hashtag causeascene SO. So causeascene Stack Overflow, and to tweet about your experience, your negative experiences on that platform. Because obviously, because they keep asking for it, they need the data. Since they're so data driven with their survey, let's provide them some data. And for those individuals who feel safe enough, please go back and screenshot comments, questions, everything that you've seen that were derogatory, condescending, that were just downright unnecessary in answering a question, and provide those in your tweets, in your threads. Again, it's hashtag causeascene SO. And I want to start collecting these. That's the first thing I'm doing. The second thing is, I have a list of things that I want from Stack Overflow before I will stop continually, daily, weekly, tweeting about Stack Overflow. So what I want, and I'm reading from a list, I want to see a strategic plan outlining how they intend to improve not only the numbers of underrepresented and marginalized individuals, meaningfully engaging. And this is the thing. There are many underrepresented and marginalized individuals who go to this site and get their answer and leave. They're too scared to ask a question. They're too scared to anything. They're not engaging. They need to engage. So they need to have meaningful engagement on the site, but also a plan for improving the experiences for all, and that's inclusion. And that's for everybody. You need to come up with maybe the gamification, I don't know what it is, but you need to come up with a process that is no longer exclusionary, but is inclusive for all, not just the 92% of white men who filled out this survey. Number 2, I want to see documentation of outreach efforts to underrepresented and marginalized communities. The question I had when the survey came out was, we worked hard to reach out to underrepresented and marginalized communities. And then some individuals said, we reached out to 70 organizations globally. There's 70 underrepresented and marginalized groups just in Atlanta alone. So that's not enough. Obviously, that's not enough for what the numbers of you, when you have less than 10%, less than 9% actually, of underrepresented and marginalized people, and that's collectively completing this survey. You need to do outreach. Stop expecting underrepresented and marginalized people to make themselves uncomfortable and come to you. You need to make yourselves uncomfortable and go to them. And so that's what I want to see. The next thing I want to see is a process for reporting incidences of inappropriate behavior. I want to see a transparent process that doesn't talk about, that wasn't nice, because that's not measurable. I want to see something that's measurable, document that it makes it easy that this is inappropriate and this is appropriate behavior. I want to see that. And that comes from core values. And I really want to see what your core values are. And if you don't have them as an organization, you need to develop them. The next thing I want to see at least a 25% participation increase. I want to see at least a 25% participation rate for underrepresented and marginalized individuals in the 2019 developer survey. You need to do whatever you need to do to hit at least 25% of collectively, okay? So I'm not saying just with people of color or indigenous people or natives or people from other time zones. What I'm talking about collectively, I need to see 25%, at least a 25% participation rate of people of color in this damn developer survey, because it absolutely means nothing if you don't have a better a survey that reflects the global developer community. The next thing I wanted to see, and I'm going to put this all in a post, I want to see a meaningful academic study conducted on the potential inherent biases associated with the knowledge shared on this site. There is no way you can tell me that there is not inherent intentional or unintentional bias in the knowledge that is shared on this site. People are not going to Stack Overflow, getting an answer, and evaluating it for themselves, because many of them don't have that level of expertise. What they're doing is going to Stack Overflow, copying and pasting some code from there into their code base. And it concerns me based on particularly the answers that were in the survey about ethics and how developers are feeling about AI, deep learning, and machine learning, when although many said they would not do anything unethically, they also said, which is totally contradictory, that if that happened, it wasn't their responsibility, it would be the responsibility of management and supervisors. I have a problem with that. I see a disconnect. So I need to see a meaningful academic study conducted on the potential inherent biases associated with the knowledge on this site, and then you have a plan. If there's no inherent bias, which I doubt, then you know where to go from there. But if there is, then you know where to go from there. Right now, you're just shooting at things. There is no plan. It's just, I don't see anything. I want to see an onboarding process for those new to the site and new to coding. There has to be a better way to welcome newbies to this community. It has to be. And lastly, I want to see a regular report that is shared as widely as you share your survey to ensure a transparent process. So of the things that I've asked for, I want to see a regular report created and share it with the overall developer community at the same rates that you share your survey, so people understand, see the transparency, see what you're doing. Because right now everything is cloaked behind a window, behind a wall, and yeah, you could be doing great things and they're not working, but you could be doing some great things, but because we can't see it, all we know is our experience. So this is a pretty long video, but so what? This is what I feel. And so, again, I'm going to reiterate this. In an effort to be strategic, which is proactive, and not outrage, which is reactive, I have a strategy for how I will approach PyCon as well as Stack Overflow. I will, and I ask you to start using hashtag causeascene SO as a way of sharing your stories, your negative stories, your negative experiences on Stack Overflow, because the community, the leaders just aren't getting it. And so also I want you to make sure you tag me in hashtag causeascene or Kim Creighton 1 if there's something you see or you want me to pay attention to or respond to. Please do that. But know that moving forward, it is my goal, my personal goal, and the goal of what I'm going to do with hashtag causeascene is to strategically disrupt the status quo in our technical communities, events, and organizations. And I'm starting with PyCon and Stack Overflow. So thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you online.